Another week in another episode of the Kirby on Sports podcast as we touch on some action from this past week in the NFL. It's all coming your way next on the Kirby on Sports podcast. Josh Kirby back with you for another week of the Kirby on Sports podcast, episode 186. I did not come alone. Now joining me, the weapon, Dan Dembski, and the number one contender so far in this week, Kirby on Sports PickEm Challenge. What's going on, buddy?
I'm great. Just hearing that. Number one contender. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Something I've heard in a couple years. So
yeah,
that's exciting. But no, great start to the NFL season. Just a lot of interesting storylines. I know we're going to talk about all of that, and I'm just enjoying being number one for a bit because it's probably not going to last too much longer. But I'll take it in for now.
And we must bring in the reigning, undisputed Kirby on Sports PickEm champion that needs no further introduction, Carlos the Swiss Army Knife Martinez.
You botched it. You botched it.
I knew it was coming. Second you put him up with his head.
We practiced, Kirby. We practiced. How you do the
not again.
I got the energy down.
No, you didn't even get the energy down.
Well, I'm not going to sound like Bruce Buffer in every episode introducing.
You never sound like Bruce Buffer.
How are you, Carlos? Great to see you.
The reigning, defending, undisputed Kirby on Sports PickEm's champion.
Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Oh, whoopsie. That was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
My finger clicked on something different.
Yeah, screw him. This is now the Carlos and Dan show. No more Kirby allowed. Okay?
CD.
We don't allow two-time losers on this show anymore. All right, enough of the joking. In all honesty,
put us back in our rightful. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Hi, boys. How are we?
This show is completely off the rails at this point.
It has been off the rails for a bit, but I think it's been more public here recently. Yeah, for sure. But I'm here for it, dude. I'm here for all of it.
This intro.
It's the comedy behind it. You get good sports analysis,
and you get Kirby's gaffes.
All right, gentlemen. But first and foremost, before we move any further, we would love to thank our sponsors, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, Mark Francis, with Icon Real Estate, Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services, Mark Lynch with Guild Mortgage, Shenandoah Music, and Don't Sleep Energy, the official energy drink of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Now let's get into some action from this past week in the NFL. I got to start off broad here, boys. There really were not a lot of good games this past week.
Yeah, it was only a handful of games where you were like, wow, this is intriguing down to the very end. Most were, especially we talked about the later window games on Sunday. They were all brutal. They were all
for me, not so much because
for Carlos
dominated, but
yeah,
for Yeah, the average fan, it was just like, what do we really watch here?
Yeah. And then, of course, last night's game was brutal.
Didn't watch.
I wish they would stop putting the New Jersey teams on primetime television. Let's just stop with this nonsense.
But the Jets actually played pretty decently against the Chiefs. So we'll talk
surprisingly.
We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about it later.
You're not
wrong. One of the New York teams put up a fight. The other New York team, not so much.
Has only scored 3 points at home.
Really bad. Brutally bad football team right now. So
absolutely.
Talk about that.
Absolutely. I agree with you there. But
I just can't believe people really thought the Giants people were really thinking the Giants were going to beat the Cowboys week 1.
Foolish.
So we're going to start in the NFC East with one of the more entertaining matchups as the Commanders.
Someone say the most entertaining matchup.
It definitely was probably number 1 this weekend. Yeah.
I would say so, as the Commanders fell to the Eagles 34-31 in overtime. What made this game better for Commanders fans and people covering is the fact that the Commanders didn't roll over and die like they did last week against Buffalo, which just the resiliency and the bounce back of the Commanders in this loss, despite the loss, they still looked pretty good. There were some hiccups here and there. The secondary, I think, needs some more work. But, I mean, Sam Howell did not have a turnover in this game, which
played extremely well.
Huge. Yep. It's huge for him to bounce back from the week before against Buffalo to this week holding the NFC champions 34-31. The Commanders went out early, had a score. Obviously, the Eagles won, but they held them close pretty much this entire game.
The bar is so low. The bar is so low.
Yeah.
The bar is so low. You guys beat this team at this stadium last year, and you're celebrating the fact that you guys lost.
I'm not celebrating.
You're literally celebrating right now.
There are no moral victories, Carlos.
We showed some fight. We didn't roll over and die. Sam Howell played great. Oh my goodness. We fought back. Like, guys, you still lost though.
You make a decent point.
Angry right now.
You make a decent
I would be pissed because you had the Eagles. You had them and you let them off the hook. That's on you. And you were sitting here celebrating when you guys beat them last year with Taylor Heineke, when the Eagles were actually at their best. This is the worst we've seen the Eagles in the past year, and you're over here celebrating that you lost. The bar's in hell. The bar's in hell.
Well, there were some good things out of this game that you.
There we go. The moral victories.
Ultimate rant. I love it.
The moral victories.
I'm not claiming
Get
a
off
moral
the board.
victory.
Hold your team to a higher standard and be pissed off that you let the NFC champions off the hook. This is the best time to have gotten them. When they come to Washington in a few weeks, you're gonna get steamrolled.
Yeah.
I actually don't know that for certain. We'll see. Yeah. Because the Eagles haven't looked that great, but they're gonna figure it out. And this was the best chance to get them.
It comes down to the last drive in my mind.
It does not. You guys had the lead on them, and you guys couldn't hold it.
That defense couldn't help you out. Yep.
Yep. The defense needs to improve.
They stink.
From what I'm seeing in the defense, they are not looking good at all.
Yeah. The secondary stinks.
I think it was Brown matched up with Emmanuel Forbes or something, the rookie.
He clowned him.
Yeah. A rookie. That's smart coaching there to put an experienced wideout on a rookie. And it went to show in that last drive. But, just looking offensively, the Commanders looked a lot better than they did last week against Buffalo. The O-line looked improved.
But the bar, if you're comparing it to last week, the bar is pretty low.
That's what I'm saying. You're comparing you guys not doing absolutely nothing against the Bills to you guys doing like, of course it's gonna. You guys could not get any worse than last week. So no matter what, you guys were always gonna do better.
I know, and I appreciated from watching, seeing how this resilient team bounced back and held this
having a hard time.
Resilience. I don't understand how this resilience is going down against the Bills the way you did. And then resilience is Colorado USC. That's resilience.
Yeah.
This is not resilience. This is another game. That's all it was. It's not, it was, you guys just bounced back from a bad performance. This is not resiliency.
Well,
this team is not resilient.
I will say, Sam Howell, and I hate to piss Carlos off more, but I thought he was really good in this game, and this is the first game. Yeah,
no, I'm not knocking the actual performance itself, right? Sam
you're
Howell,
you're knocking the fans more than anything.
The performance was good, but I just don't like this whole thing that Kirby is doing here. They're resilient. They showed some promise. Let's go.
They did.
Stop.
They did.
Stop the cap.
The season is young.
And this is
they showed a lot of promise.
This has been the problem in Washington forever. They have one game like this a season where their fans, and I'm not saying Kirby's doing this right now. I'm going to defend him a little bit. I'm going to defend him a little bit because I've seen a lot worse.
See, that's my guy right there.
A lot on social media.
That's my guy right there. 2 against 1, Carlos. Step up.
Putting the expectations.
Whoa!
That was something.
All right, let's
derailing this again.
Let's let Dan get his point out.
I see where you're coming from, Carlos, and I definitely have seen fans on social media be a lot worse when it comes to that's a hard fought game. They show a lot of resilience, stuff like that. But I'm kind of going to defend Kirby a little bit here because, this team, they weren't supposed to get steamrolled in this game, but I think a lot of people had in mind that you're going to see especially a young quarterback go up against a really, really solid Eagles defense and a really solid Eagles team that's been there, done that. Mm-hmm. And you wanted to see that, hey, we can compete with these guys. Mm-hmm. That's what this game does. Now, what it doesn't allow you to do is to say, we want whoever else in the NFC. Off the top of my mind, I can't think of a team that let's say Dallas. Let's say Dallas.
Oh, I was going to say the Niners, right, but you can say Dallas.
Dallas because they're division rival and all that stuff. Let's slow the roll on that one a little bit because the season is still young. Washington definitely showed some promise in this game, but they still lost. You can't have more moral victories than regular victories, I would say, in a situation like this. And I'm not saying you're doing that, Kirby. I'm going to defend you a little bit here. I think Carlos is making a good point, especially when you look at the total sum of how fans, and this is what social media has done too. It's allowed instant reactions and an instant overreactions from the second a game ends. And we see it in sports media. We see it, and then we see it on social media in general. So I think that's a big problem, and I think people need to tamper their expectations a little bit. But you can also say that Sam Howell looked like a solid starting quarterback. Now, I still don't know if he is the answer long term. I'm not going to sit here and say that. I know people have come out and said that, but it's one game. I think he has shown throughout the progression of the early part of the season, he has gotten better. Not against Buffalo, but other than that, I feel like he's improved game by game. And we're going to have to see if he can build on it next week. I just don't, on Thursday, I guess, the game we're going to. I don't know why my brain was thinking of Sunday.
Kirby on Sports Alive at FedEx Field.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So can he keep it going? That's a game Washington should win handily. Well, not handily, but they should win that game on Thursday night. We're going to see if he can build off his performance. If he doesn't, fans are going to be saying the same thing they always say. Why do we pick these quarterbacks? They're never any good. Ron Rivera needs to be fired. That's another thing too. I have to rant for a second over how people criticize Ron Rivera after this loss for not going for 2 for the win. What?
I'm kind of with them. I thought he should have gone for 2.
But hold on a second here. If he goes for 2 in that situation
and they lose,
they're gonna want him fired immediately. So what difference does it make? What difference does it make?
No. I say you go for 2 there because they weren't going to beat the Eagles. At that point, the momentum had already shifted. The Eagles had all the momentum at that
I don't
point.
disagree. I don't disagree.
And even Ron Rivera said it. My team was tired. That's why, like, okay, but I'm sure that the Eagles are tired too. If you
Fair.
can't, you need to just get 2 yards to get the victory. And I understand it's easy. It's not as, what is it? It's easier said than done. Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020. It's
Yeah,
easy to go back and look and
it's
see.
It's easier said than done to get those 2 yards. We all know it. 2-point conversions are never guaranteed.
Yep.
But at that point in the game, it's the like go big or go home at that point. Show some faith. Go like show that this is going to be different. I understand the smart move was that go for the field goal, try to go to OT. But when your team is just not the comparable, and then on top of that, you had the ball first and they did nothing with it. Well, and gave it right back to the Eagles. So that's what I'm saying. Is like that was a miracle drive at the end because at that point Washington wasn't doing anything. They got that miracle last minute drive because the Eagles scored too quickly, So and
they could have as easily drained that clock, kicked the game-winning field goal.
Yeah,
too.
they made a big mistake there.
Yeah. The Eagles scored way too quickly, left too much time on the clock, and didn't make Washington burn their timeouts. So Washington was able to do a quick drive down the field, score. I would have gone for the 2. I would have done it because I would have gone for the win.
That's the balance of the old school coaches that typically would say, well, it's more of a feeling than it is anything else, versus the analytics guys. What do the numbers say? What do the numbers say if we go for 2 in this situation? What are our probabilities of getting it? I don't know.
I'm almost positive the analytics said go for 2.
Maybe so. But again, if they go for 2 and don't get it, people are going to be screaming to cut his head off, just like they have most of the time he's been there. And I don't want to defend him too much because I've been a critic of him for quite a long time. I think a lot of times he's been clueless and he's just lost it. He's lost his luster of coaching that he had a long time ago in Carolina, but that's beside the point. I think in that situation, you make the right call. And it is early in the season. Now, if it's late in the season and you have a chance, maybe at that point Washington is a spot in the wild card or a chance to get in the wild card, or even play spoiler if it's a situation where they're playing Philly again. Then, or any team for that matter. Then I think you go for it, and it's all situational. I think it's too early in the season to be, I don't know, laying the chips out there because we've seen a lot of coaches that have done that. Staley out in LA, and it's costed him more times than not. And I would say, even though a lot of coaches do it, I think we know more about the failures than we do the successes when it comes to the 2-point conversions and the 4th down and going for 4th down. Now, if you go for 4th down on 4th and 8, like some of these coaches do, you're just plain stupid, and you shouldn't be coaching in the National Football League. But again, that's a whole nother argument. Washington played a great game. There's no question about it. Philly, definitely the more talented team, the more experienced team. They had to work to get this win. There's no question about it. Washington definitely executed in the overtime period. But that's where maybe their tiredness that Ron Rivera was referring to, and I think their inexperience in those types of situations sort of came to the surface there. But if I'm a Washington fan, I'm not bragging about it because I've seen a lot of people doing that. But I'm certainly happy, or I'm maybe not happy. I'm confident that this team can compete with these top tier NFC teams. Again, my team's not a world beating team, but they can hang in there, I think, a lot of times. And I think you can take that big point away if you're a Commanders fan. And again, the big thing for me, can you build on this? Can you put together 2 or 3 solid games in a row? That's always been their concern, right? That's always been what Washington struggled to do in the last 15 to 20 years. It's all about putting it together for more than one game. And I think they can do it, but we'll see what happens.
So, okay. So real quick, if there's any opportunity for them to put it together right now, it's right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's starting right now. You have the Bears, you have the Falcons, and you have the Giants. Those are your next 3 opponents.
You got it. You
very easily 5-2 going to that second Eagles game. That gives you such a buffer. Then, okay, let's say you lose to the Eagles. 5-3. Okay. Then you got the Patriots coming in. The Patriots aren't the Patriots anymore.
Yeah, they stink.
You know, the Mac Jones is not good. I feel like your defensive line, it could easily feast on.
He's Mr.
Mac
Pick
Jones.
Six this
Okay,
year.
let's say that's a win. Okay, we're looking at 6-3. Okay, you got the Seahawks. That's going to be a tough matchup. I would probably guess the Seahawks would win that one. Okay, 6-4. Giants. You guys should easily beat the Giants, honestly. Okay, so we're looking at what are we at? We were at 6-4.
But 7-4 now. Yep, 7-4.
Yeah, so 7-4. Then you guys hit a little rough patch here. You guys got the Cowboys and Dolphins back to back. Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Thanksgivings are always a weird game for Dallas, so I wouldn't actually put it out of the question that maybe you guys pull off an upset. But the likely logic is, okay, Dallas should probably win that game. Okay, we're looking at 7-5. Dolphins 7-6.
Mm-hmm.
Rams. The Rams are better than what
the Rams
we thought.
are hit or miss. They're
hit or miss. But I would kind of put my money on the Commanders.
Yeah.
Okay, we're looking at 8-6. Jets.
Let's be honest.
I mean, let's see how where Zach Wilson goes from here after, you know, his decent performance against the Chiefs. You know that, you know, Chris Collinsworth was, you know,
slobbering over.
He was having I can't say that on this.
I know which direction you're going.
Yeah. Live on air, he was just foaming at the mouth about
he
this
was
kid.
Insufferable on Sunday night.
But
Insufferable.
let's say Zach Wilson doesn't pan out and they go with Trevor Siemian at some point. Okay. Let's say you guys can beat the Jets, even though that'll be a tough matchup because the Jets do have a great defense. But let's say you guys beat them. Okay. That puts you at what, 9-6 at this point? 9-7.
You're right there. You're right on the doorstep.
But then it's the last two games that are going to kill you. You got the 49ers, and then you got Dallas to end the season.
Let's just remember. Let's just remember.
No, that's a good point. Let's remember what happened last season. You guys completely dominated Dallas, like you guys did.
Yeah, that game was wild.
Like you did. It was Sam Howell's first introduction, you know, and he came out and did what he needed to do. And so it's very possible that at that point, Dallas might have something wrapped up. Maybe they don't. We don't know how the rest of the season is going to go. Maybe Dallas completely collapses. We just don't know.
We don't know.
But let's say Dallas might have a playoff spot wrapped up. There's going to be nothing really to play for. So maybe it's very possible that Washington might be able to get into the wild card, because I don't think it's going to take much to get into at least the 7th seed of the wild card.
Not this year. Not this year. Yeah.
But case in point, I'm not taking this as a moral victory, but
you were.
No, I was not.
Yes, you were.
I was not.
Kirby, it's okay. You were.
I was.
I mean, it's not okay, but you know, I'm
just not as mad.
Performance. He's just talking about their performance.
Yeah, the performance.
I thought it was better than I expected. It was better than I expected.
Like this, with a lot of fight, than if they would have scored another 3 points against Philly.
I'd be furious if I was you. I'd be furious. I'd be like, guys, like we freaking had them, and you let them off the hook.
Well, it's still early in the season, and there's a lot of more games down the stretch.
Sure.
But it could be the Commanders that just it all tanks and goes south.
Well,
we have that too.
I wouldn't say that.
I don't see. I mean, again, your next 3 opponents
are losing football teams.
We got the Chicago Thursday, who the most incompetent coaching staff I've ever seen. How did they blow that game against Denver? And they got the most awesome performance out of Justin Fields that they had ever gotten. You got Atlanta, who maybe by that point, maybe Heineke starts, because Desmond Ridder just is not it.
Yeah, he's not.
And then you got the Giants, who have no offensive line, and your defensive line is going to feast.
And they can't score. So as long as you can get 10 points, you should be able to beat the Giants, I think.
Yeah, and then you're going to have your tough test against the Cowboys Thanksgiving. Sure, fine. But like I said, Thanksgiving is typically a weird game for Dallas.
It's just funny. He just throws it in there.
Well, because it's true. Like that's gonna, at that point, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be probably equal on record. Honestly, maybe not, because Dallas has a much tougher slate coming up post 49ers here. It's very possible that they come in with a worse record than Washington, but at the same time, like I said, Thanksgiving, Dallas does not always show up on Thanksgiving for some reason. So we'll see. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, look, take celebrate the performance. I guess it was an admirable performance. I would not take any moral victories at all out of this. But I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying.
Yeah, Ron Rivera said no moral victories and slammed his fist on the podium. I agree with him there. No moral victories, but the performance, it was there. It was there.
It was
coming up just short as the Eagles defeat the Commanders 34-31. We have to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more of the Kirby on Sports podcast right after this. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com. All right, Josh Kirby, the Kirby on Sports podcast, back with you. I'm with the weapon Dan Dembski and the Swiss Army knife Carlos Martinez. Moving on to the next game, I decided
he's putting on a Taylor Swift jersey right now for the folks.
Oh, yeah. Second week in a row.
Look at this. Just look at this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful jersey. Dating the biggest pop star in the world. Had an awful performance in New York.
Well,
he was distracted.
The Chiefs and the Jets. That's the next game we're talking about. First and foremost, the Jets. I mean, the Chiefs. Mahomes threw 2 picks.
Yeah, it wasn't
terrible performance. Terrible.
I thought this would have been a runaway victory for the Chiefs.
Should have been, but the Chiefs were running a practice.
Interesting. But there are 2 parts to this before I give it to Carlos. Part A, Taylor Swift in the suite. In part B,
Hold up. We're talking about a Chiefs victory and we're not doing it?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, let me lead. Let me lead.
Yep.
And the home of the Swifties.
I was just about to say that.
Should have seen that one coming.
Okay, so part 1, Taylor Swift in the suite. What are your sources telling us about Taylor in the suite?
No.
Are we done with that now?
That was a 1 week thing. That was a 1 week thing. Okay, I'm still a big Swiftie, but I'm kind of over it, honestly. Okay, the NFL milked it too much.
They milked the hell out of it.
I just want to ship the relationship. I don't need it in every ounce of my football content.
Yeah, it's overkill. It's good for the league, right?
It was.
You get a lot of people who normally wouldn't give a crap about football give a crap about football now. But yeah, it's just become too much.
I saw in the news that there are custom 87 Chiefs jerseys with the name Swifty on the back. Sales have gone through the roof.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's a big money making thing. We understand how capitalism works, right? This is the way it's designed to work. It does its job.
So my next point here.
Nothing needs to be said on that.
I'm just curious.
Love seeing her at the game, though. Love seeing her there.
Yeah. I'm just curious before or after the game if Chris Collinsworth got to meet Taylor Swift by
probably not.
They keep her as far away from him as possible.
No, they also escort her out of the stadiums in like
through the players' tunnel. I'm pretty sure.
Like to get her out of the suite, like they like put her in like a metal box thing.
Yeah.
Oh
That's also how she would get to the stage during her shows, but that's besides the point. I'm not going to make this into a Taylor Swift podcast.
Crazy too, man.
Yep. Carlos, when's the drop of your Swifty podcast? Anytime soon?
Never. I will never drop a Swifty podcast. But if you want to listen to a good one where it goes over all her albums, I can give you a recommendation.
All right. We'll leave Carlos's email in the bio if you are interested. But anyways, Carlos, the game, Mahomes did not look so Mahomes-ish tonight in this matchup. But the Chiefs coming away with the victory. Mm-hmm. But what did you make out of this 3-point victory against the New York Jets?
The Kansas City Chiefs were having a live practice out there. That's what it was. They just didn't take the Jets completely seriously. I feel like obviously there's some controversy in this game that I'm pretty sure we'll touch on. But I mean, look, it was just a weird, strange game that the Chiefs didn't take seriously. And the Jets defense has always been good. We all knew that. They gave Josh Allen some trouble, week one. Guess who they didn't give trouble to? Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott did a fantastic job against them. But at that point, they're coming off of the emotional high of winning the week one game against the Bills and losing Aaron Rodgers, that I feel like it was more of that, more so than Dallas was just like leagues above them. I really think that if they play that game again, Dallas would still win, but just not by the margin that they did. But back to this game, I mean, they did a great job of shutting down Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce didn't do too much in this game, and it's another case of these Kansas City receivers just not being able to get any separation and really give Mahomes anything to really look at. And then on top of that, Patrick Mahomes was definitely forcing some things in this game. A lot. He was forcing it a lot. And, it's something I'm pretty sure he's going to correct and understand that he's got to let the game come to him and not try to force it, because if you try to force it, it hurts you. And that's where those 2 picks mostly came from. And there should have been a third one. But obviously there was kind of a light holding call, I guess you could say. Holding nonetheless, but it was very light. And look, I mean, I'm not saying that the Jets were going to win this game because of that. I still think the Chiefs were going to win. But definitely a very lackluster performance by Kansas City. But if you look at their history against the lower level teams, I saw a graphic about it earlier today. I mean, they kind of played down to their competition's level. The Titans last year, for example.
That's what the Ravens do too.
The Raiders, in one of the games, the Broncos last year, they played 2 tight games against the Broncos, in which one of them, they were like up 28-0. And then the Broncos made it very interesting at the end. It's just, that's just what they do. For some reason, they love to play down to their competition's level. The only one that they didn't do was obviously Chicago last week, where they completely blew them out. But yeah, prime time, Taylor Swift's in the building. It's not
A lot
just
of
Taylor Swift.
distraction.
There's a lot of A-list celebrities. I'm not saying necessarily that these guys were distracted. These guys have been at 3 Super Bowls, have won 2 Super Bowls, so they've been in the biggest spotlight of them all.
But it affects them. It has to affect you somewhat.
I don't necessarily. I just think that I think the Jets had a great game plan, and I just think Mahomes just did not play well, and I think that the defense kind of also let the Jets offense back in the game. And I think that was also a case of, Chris Jones didn't go through a lot of training camp. He actually didn't go through any training camp. He was working out and getting in shape for, football, but there's a difference between football in shape and in shape. And he looked very tired during this game. And I think this Jets team we know is very talented offensively. They just need a quarterback to really lead it all. And ultimately, they kind of showed out against the Super Bowl champs, but Patrick Mahomes does what Patrick Mahomes does and makes the plays that he needs to win the game.
Yeah, and I
didn't even touch on Pacheco. Pacheco was awesome in this game.
Yeah, he was great. It's great to see him go off because
I love him. Him.
You're just looking for someone besides Kelsey to step up, somebody to make a big play, and Pacheco always seems to be the guy who does it. But this was a 17-0 game, and I think at that point you think, well, it's Kansas City. Kansas City's going to run away with it, but Carlos made a great point. It's like they kind of let their foot off the gas at that point on both sides of the football, and you could see defensively they were not as aggressive against this Jets offense, and that definitely helped them get back in the game. I don't think we learned much about Kansas City. We know they're one of the best teams in the NFL. They have been for some time. I'm not concerned at all. Every team has games like this where they play down to their competition here and there, and they still won. So that's the big takeaway too. It's not like they came out on the losing end. I think for the Jets, this is sort of a building block moment for Zach Wilson. We've been very critical of him throughout the season, rightfully so.
Throughout his whole career.
Yeah. We know he was taken high in the draft. Shouldn't have been taken as high as he was taken. Oh. That's a conversation that we've had many times on this podcast and many people have had throughout sports media. So not going to beat that. Not going to beat a dead horse there. But I think similar to the Commanders, I hate to go back to this analogy again, but you want to see how Zach Wilson can build off that game, even though it was a loss. Still a really good performance and had the Jets in position to win that game. Just couldn't make those couple extra plays necessary. So I think it's important for him because, again, here's a guy who had a lot of expectations coming in, being that high draft pick. I don't think he was ever as talented as, he was as highly as he was drafted. That's another conversation. But this is a chance for him to go out there and prove people wrong and show that, no, I am a starting quarterback in the NFL. I should be a starting quarterback in the NFL, if not for the Jets, then for another team. So it's not just a tryout to try to stay on the Jets roster, obviously. It's a tryout for all the other NFL teams that, injuries happen. We're not sure what's going to happen after this season with his future, but, it's sort of a chance for everyone to see, okay, what do you have in these types of situations? Can you beat the best teams? Obviously he didn't do it, but he gave them a chance to win. So,
it's not a contract year for him. I think he's still
correct.
Yeah, he still has his fifth. The Jets have to decide whether they're going to pick up his 5th-year option next year.
Right.
If they don't pick up his 5th-year option, then next year would be a contract year for him, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was trying to think back, and I was like, couldn't remember the exact timing of it. But yeah, that sounds
round. Right. Yeah, first round picks typically sign a 4-year deal.
4 years. Yep.
And then they with a 5th-year team option. That's how it normally goes.
That's right. Yep.
So it's not necessarily. It's more of just like, Rodgers is going to come back. So he says, which I'm not even going to really touch too much on.
He says a lot of stuff. He just shut his mouth.
I'm not going to touch too much on Rodgers.
He was there in the suite.
But what he said today was absolutely uncalled for.
I did not hear it, but
he's a dope.
I guess it was bad.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
I might have to look that up now. See what he said.
But
just do it later. Just do it off air.
Yeah, just worry about it later. But anyways, yeah, obviously Rodgers saying he's going to come back. He's still trying to claim that he's going to be back in time for the playoffs, which who knows if the Jets are even going to be ready for the playoffs. But even if so, you know, I think that's just a crazy move, but you know, whatever. I mean,
he says a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You never know what to take as real.
Okay.
We'll see.
I'm getting up what you're putting down.
So it's more of just like, okay, but what happens post Rodgers? Because Aaron Rodgers has maybe two seasons left in this.
Two at most. Yeah.
Two at most, one at best. Okay. Next season is probably going to be his last season, if we're going to be completely honest here.
Yep.
What does where does Zach Wilson fit in this picture? Zach Wilson needs to show that, hey, like I'm developing that, like this, I can be the quarterback that you guys always thought I could be. And maybe once Rodgers comes back into the building, is going to be able to coach him up even more and kind of guide him more. Because that's the thing, Rodgers isn't in the building right now because he's out in California right now rehabbing. But he'll be back in the building. I think after their bye week is when he'll be back with the team full time. So I think that'll help, that he'll be there to kind of guide Zach Wilson more. And I think that's when we're going to really see probably some more growth out of Zach Wilson, should they stick with him that long and should he last that long.
Good point.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because you look at the post Rodgers era and I can't really picture Zach Wilson yet.
Not yet.
Being the long-term answer.
Is one game. This was one game. So yeah.
No, just collectively what I've seen from Zach Wilson overall.
Mm-hmm.
Just
it hasn't been good to this point. Let's say that much.
I just can't see him fitting into that long-term solution for the Jets once Aaron Rodgers decides to retire.
But they've also been they've been in quarterback hell for a long time too. Like a lot of teams have.
They put up a graphic during the broadcast of the many quarterbacks they've gone through since Mark Sanchez.
It's been brutal. It's a brutal list of players. And so I think that plays a factor in it too. The Jets probably want this to work out. They want to be able to hit on one quarterback that they've drafted. And to this point it's been a failure, but I think if you see some progression from Zach Wilson, then maybe there's a chance that, hey, we finally hit on a quarterback. Yay. And his name's not Joe Namath. We can finally say we have a quarterback that was somewhat decent. But that hasn't happened yet. And the Jets are the Jets. What are you going to do? I mean, that's just been what they've been for a long time. But anyway, I forget what my overall point was there. I think my overall point is that the Jets want this to work too. It's not just like, Zach Wilson wants to have a job, which obviously he does. But
so are we gonna touch on it then? The controversy of this game?
Nah, I don't know. I mean, it was bad. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Kirby.
What are we referring to?
The referee controversy.
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't. Well, the thing was, towards I'll be honest with you, I was half asleep. I didn't really see that.
So you didn't like?
I heard about it after the fact. You
didn't do any research? Come on, host. What the heck? You're gonna pick this game to talk about, but did not want to talk about the biggest point that everybody was talking about in this game.
I'm just disappointed that Mr. Twitter didn't
right,
know what
Mr.
happened.
Twitter over here.
No, I'm sorry,
Mr. X over here.
So stupid.
No,
it's always Twitter.
It always be Twitter to me.
I saw it on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it.
I'm always gonna call it Twitter.
So you did see it.
Earlier today, as we're recording, I'm like
2 days after.
Yeah. Because
Kirby, you live on Twitter.
I'm sorry.
Anyways,
but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just.
Would you have made that call, Kirby?
Probably. But I mean, football's a fast-paced game. I really don't know.
I think it should be one of those things you could review especially at that juncture in the game. I know people don't want to add more time to NFL games. They probably want them to speed up, and I think referees spend a lot of times. It is wasting time, but
having what was it that we kept calling it?
Oh yeah, what was that phrase I had?
What was it? The national? No.
Oh, the Constitutional Convention. Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
That was one of my best quips for sure. But I they spend way too much time doing that stuff. But I think when it holds a lot of weight like this call did, I think you have to take a look. Now there has to be a way you can speed it up too. But
I don't. That's not one of those plays that's reviewable though, and that's the thing that I kind of hate is that like you can't review certain I don't know, they need to do more expedited reviews, and they need to allow themselves to be able to reverse certain calls. Look, all in all, it was a hold. It was whatever it was, whatever they called it, interference, whatever it was. It was what it was because, he spins the receiver around, and granted, it looks very light, but it did affect the receiver. Okay, it was that, but was it light? Yes, of course it was. It was the same thing in the Super Bowl. It was a light pass interference holding call. Yeah. Okay, unfortunately, sometimes those are going to get called, and they should be called. Okay. And it is what it is.
It's close. I mean,
that's hit or miss. I just saw the replay again. It's hit or miss.
It's a light call. It's a light call. It really is. I'm with it. Like I can understand not calling it, and I can understand calling it.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Carlos.
But anytime it's been Kansas City or in the past New England that has had a call go their way, then it's always the controversy is attached to it, right? Because it's there's the refs favoring Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs or whatever the case is. So I don't know. I thought people were making a big deal out of it, to be honest, because like I said, the Jets had their chance in this game for sure to win this game. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if there's enough there to draw a penalty flag. But again, I'm sort of like you guys. I could see it go either way. It's I think it really just, if it was any other team, it probably there would be no story at all. We wouldn't hear it talked about at all. But since it involves Kansas City, I think that's why it's such a big story right now for sure.
Yeah, and it was in prime time. 27 million people watched the game, so that's why it's getting a lot of attention.
Because of Taylor Swift.
Subtle flex.
Yes, subtle flex there. I saw it, Carlos.
I mean, it's okay. The Dallas Thanksgiving game is going to beat that. It always does.
Probably so. Yep.
Absolutely.
There's nothing better than sitting back eating Thanksgiving dinner, watching football,
and watching the Cowboys implode as normal on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
that's normally what happens, man. It's very rare. Last year was an anomaly. We don't normally win on Thanksgiving.
So the Chiefs and the Jets, 23-20. The Chiefs victorious in that matchup. We'll take another short break, and then we'll breeze around the rest of the league. We'll be right back.
Hey, sports fans. Thank you for listening to and supporting the Kirby on Sports podcast with founder and host Josh Kirby, along with lead contributor Dan Dembski. Like, subscribe, and give them a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast from. My name is Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation. Our company helps leaders build engaged and productive teams. Exclusively for listeners of the Kirby on Sports podcast, you can take an opportunity to discover your primary communication style and learn more about effective communication with others. Text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free copy of the Working From Home Communication Assessment, where you'll learn your primary communication style, how to better communicate with others not like you, and tips on working remotely based on your personal communication style. 10 minutes, tons of resources. Learn about yourself and your team. Again, text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free assessment report today. I'm Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, where we help you and your team be more engaged and productive by understanding each other better. Back to you, Josh.
Hey, Kirby on Sports podcast listeners, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate here. It may seem scary or daunting at first to think about buying or selling a home. Well, look no further. Give me a call, 540-247-1527. There's nothing more than I love to do than help my friends make those transactions fun, interesting, and at the end of the day, productive. Look me up online, iconsells.com, and even better, find me on my podcast, Iconic Talk, with my co-host Megan Eanes on any podcast platform. We will share all the local news about real estate markets and our local community. It's educational. Look us up. We'd love to help you. iconsells.com, 540-247-1527. Josh, back to you.
Here we go. Back with you on the Kirby on Sports podcast. It's now time to breeze around the NFL.
Is this what we're officially calling this segment? Breeze around. Like,
where's Drew Brees?
Did we decide on this?
We need a gif of Drew Brees for this segment.
Ooh, the whole intro. Feel the breeze.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's get it. We're starting the clock now. Thursday.
Hold up. I'm sorry. I didn't know we brought the hurry up offense back.
That's kind of what this was intended to replace, because it really was never hurry up, and it hasn't been a breeze so far doing this segment either. But
well, I was trying to kick it into high gear there, but we were slowing things down again.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, it's no big deal. But starting off with the rest of the league, the Lions over the Packers 34-20. Great performance by the Lions. At home, the Packers were at home, and the Lions did what they did the last week of the season and beat the Packers.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of forgot this game happened. This game feels like it was so long ago.
It was ages ago. I had fewer gray hairs back then.
And anything in specific there?
The Lions are a damn good football team.
Lions are my pick to win the
Motor
North
City right now. Dan Campbell.
Lions are the pick, or my pick for the
damn
North.
Good
right
football
now.
team. You got to start respecting them.
All right, moving on.
So much for this being a breeze.
Here's one I just want to dive into very briefly. Football and Disney Plus. Did we like it? Did we not?
I didn't watch the Disney.
Oh
Plus
man,
edition.
it was so interesting.
So I checked it out a little bit. It was not for me.
It was the Toy Story thing, right?
It was the Toy Story thing. Yeah. It was cool. The technology behind it was cool, but like it just wasn't for me. It was a weird way to watch the game. Apparently, kids loved it though. So hey, do more of that to get more kids, more invested in watching football. I mean, I'm about it.
I like it. I think it's cool. Like with the Nickelodeon.
I like the creative ideas. Keep coming up with the creative ideas. It's not for me, right? Like I'm gonna watch the traditional broadcast more than anything, but keep doing stuff like this.
Totally agree. Any way you can find to grow the game is a good thing.
In terms of the game itself, Desmond Ridder is terrible at quarterback.
He's pretty bad.
I know a serviceable backup who is rostered for Atlanta.
Yeah, Taylor Heineke, but how about
they
use their weapons? How about they use Drake London and Kyle Pitts?
Oh, Kyle Pitts.
God, the Kyle Pitts thing, that hurts me, man, because that dude's supposed to be so good, and they're not even using him. It hurts me.
It's a disgrace. It's a national disgrace.
The Bills all over the Dolphins, 48-20.
This was supposed to be game of the week. Like we thought this was. And it was for the first quarter. It looked like it was going to be a sprint. Like it was going to be a sprint. It was going to be a shootout. It was going to be everything. And then the Bills, the back-to-back September champions, decided to shut it down and think, oh wait, what are we doing? Like we're better than this team. And once again, everybody's crowning Josh Allen, and everybody's,
same thing as last year. They did the same thing last year. And I did the same thing as you.
Back-to-back September champions. This is what they are. They can hang that banner right next to their Super Bowl trophy banner that they've never actually won. Good for them.
4 in a row. 0 for 4 in a row.
Good for them.
They're a great football team. They're not an elite team yet. They haven't gotten there, and
they look good though. They looked good.
They were great in this game. They were great, but
I'm some injuries.
But I'm with Carlos. I'm with Carlos in this too. It's like Herbert and Josh Allen. Those two guys, they get slobbered on by the media more than anybody else.
As soon as they turn it around, it's just
it's crazy.
And then they still give Dak crap, and Dak has only thrown 1 pick this whole season so far, and they still
they target quarterback. They target certain quarterbacks. They just do. What can I say? What can I
But
say?
what was I gonna say?
It's nuts.
Yeah, but the Bills. I mean,
they're a good football team.
they're a good team.
And they
are a good team.
They
are
been.
a good team, and that defense is coming alive. They're gonna get Von Miller back here soon. Hopefully, he looks the same as he normally does, which I think he will.
But the AFC is tough, man. The AFC, there are no
no
holes.
What we haven't touched on, DeMar Hamlin's first game back.
Oh, right.
I saw, yes, absolutely. He's on special teams, but
that's
just
crazy.
It's
That's
incredible.
Fantastic.
Totally nuts that he's back.
Did not think this would ever happen, but hey, I'm happy.
Amazing.
It seems like yesterday we had an episode just
that was a rough episode. That was a rough episode for us. That was
one to do.
That was a rough week. Post all that, like that was hard.
Well, because after it happened, I was like, there's no way in my right mind that we can just go in talking about
we only talked
that happened.
The DeMar Hamlin situation. That's all we talked about that episode.
It was like there's nothing more important than this man's safety and well-being.
Life. It wasn't even safety at that point. It was about this man's life.
He was gone. I mean, he was gone.
Here he is.
They brought him back 3 times, and here he is suiting back up less than a year later, and
it's amazing.
It's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Story. Congratulations.
Totally agree. All right, can we start breezing now, please?
Yeah, we're breezing. The 4:00 slate. Who even cares about that?
How did we totally skipped?
You just skip my team.
Yeah, like
skip my team.
Can you let me finish for a second?
Whoa!
Hold on. I'm trying.
You just went straight to 4:00. What was I supposed to say?
You're moving on at 4:00. This is a 1:00 game. What are you doing?
Yeah. You gotta follow.
No. You can't blame us. You can't blame us for being like you're skipping the game when you go the 4:00 slate.
Yeah.
No, the 4:00 slate. There were no good games.
We got nothing to talk about.
Why are we talking about the 4:00 slate before we're done with all the other games?
I'm eliminating the games.
Out loud.
I'm eliminating the games that we
gotta talk about Cowboys like we have to because
But you did not let me finish.
Okay.
I said, well, this 4:00 slate. It's not the best, so we're going to eliminate that. But the Cowboys did defeat the Patriots, and the Ravens got a victory against the Browns. Let's talk about your teams, guys. See, was that so bad? Holy cow.
You're really bad at presenting this stuff.
We have officially broken Josh Kirby.
This podcast is off the rails.
It's every week off the rails.
No, this one is off the rails.
Hey, the Ravens won. Hey, the Cowboys won.
The Commanders lost.
Yeah. Thanks for stating the obvious. Rewinding to the beginning of this podcast.
You're welcome. This is called bringing it full circle.
This is a full circle moment.
Anyways, Dan, you first. We can discuss the possible beginning of a 2-time MVP season by Lamar Jackson.
Possibly. I'll say that I was impressed. Now, of course, going up against a backup quarterback, making his first NFL start, that helps with a defense that has been hungry all season long, just unloaded and feasted all day long on this measly Browns offense. I think the game would have been differently had Deshaun Watson played. I shouldn't even say his name. He doesn't deserve that kind of respect. Should player name played. Rather, the Ravens defense was still fantastic in this game. They didn't miss a beat. And I've just been impressed all season with their pass rush, the way their secondary has stepped up and played. Brandon Stevens had a really nice interception in this game. He's played extremely well in coverage this year. So I have no complaints about the defense and the special teams. The offense had once again a kind of a slow start in this game. They were definitely rusty. But I was impressed with how they got into the flow of things on offense. And like Carlos mentioned, the way Lamar Jackson played, 4 total touchdowns. I think he had 2 on the ground and 2 passing. I don't have the stats in front of me. I could be wrong there. But yeah, this was a game I felt like, and I said on the podcast last week, this is a game the Ravens had to have. I felt this early in the season. I know that's crazy to say, but coming off a loss at home against the Colts, that was a brutal performance by the offense. just no rhythm at all. That they needed this game, and they got it done. So, and John Harbaugh's, John Harbaugh milestone victory for him. I think this was win 150.
Big milestone. John Harbaugh's been around there a long time.
Yep, 150 wins for John Harbaugh. So that's a really cool thing to see. And I've been very critical of him throughout the last 3 or 4 years, of course. But
fair
consistency in the NFL, especially at the head coaching position, is hard to find. There's a lot of teams letting coaches go every 2 and 3 years. The Ravens haven't done that, and they've done a good job of building their team. So I shouldn't complain. I shouldn't complain anytime. But yeah, I'm extremely excited for this team now. Their schedule, of course, doesn't get easy. There's no easy schedule, I don't think, in the NFL. Maybe there is. I don't know. But yeah, this was a big win for the Ravens. Pretty dominant defensively, and offensively they got into the rhythm of running the football extremely well. And I'm very happy. 2-0 in the division, and right now, clearly, with all the other teams in the AFC North losing, of course, beating one of those teams, I'm very happy with where this team sits right now, and it makes me happy to continue to see Cincinnati struggle because, oh man,
the whole division,
the whole division. But I knew Pittsburgh was probably going to struggle a little bit. Cleveland, you just didn't know, so
it just all depends if Watson's playing.
That's it. If he plays, they're definitely a different football team.
Apparently he got cleared to play this past week, but he decided not to.
Mm-hmm. It was strange. It was a last, not a last minute scratch, but pretty close to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
No, it was legitimately last minute because we didn't find out that he wasn't playing until like 12
11.
o'clock.
Yeah, 11:30.
11, 12.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
I don't know. Yeah, great performance by the Ravens. I got no notes. No notes.
Absolutely good performance. Let's move on to the Cowboys' win against the Patriots.
You hate
to see it.
I wonder if that guy was at the bar. I really do.
We were talking about that too.
I really do, because that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Brought tears to my eyes.
Domination.
To see us give, to see us retire Tom Brady, and to now give Bill Belichick his worst loss ever in his coaching career, by handing him a nice 35-point L. Look, obviously last week was a tough week, losing to the Cardinals. And this team answered the call, which they normally do. They normally bounce back well after losses. And after the first quarter, I was pretty positive that it was done. And yeah, it was total domination by the Dallas defense. Mac Jones has regressed so bad. That was bad. Like to get away with throwing across the field once was a miracle in itself, but to do it again on the same drive,
he's a dope,
is absolutely unforgivable.
Oh my.
I mean, Deron Bland really stepped up in this game. Really did a good job. He did a great job.
He was ready for that one too.
Yeah. Man. He wanted 2 interceptions in this game, 166. Obviously, we had the great 2-point conversion play. Was it? No, it was a touchdown. I'm sorry. Or was it a 2-point? See, so much happened in that game. I can't even remember. Was that a touchdown play or was that a 2-point conversion?
Let me look. Hold on.
The Golston play where Brian Anger threw a perfect pass. That thing was beautiful. I think it was a
touchdown, right?
I think it was a tutty.
Yeah, I think it was a touchdown you're referring to.
Yeah. Obviously, still the biggest issue that everybody's got with Dallas is the red zone.
No, it was a 2-point.
It was a 2-pointer. That's
it was.
Yeah, yep. It was because they were all. It was like all 11 or something. I don't fucking remember. I don't remember what it was called. Excuse my French, but
All good.
yeah, no, the red zone offense is still a concern. Dallas went 1 of 4 in the red zone. Somehow the CD Lamb touchdown doesn't count, but I guess it's because it's on the edge. It's not in the red zone, so it is what it is. But hey, we got one, so cool. But yeah, I think this is a good performance to have, especially going into this big game against the 49ers. We definitely needed it. And I'm happy with Dak Prescott's performance. He played very well. CD's a monster. Pollard had a pretty quiet game, but still was pretty effective in my opinion. And obviously, you know, the offensive line looked a lot better, and that's mostly because we were able to get, you know, Biotish, Martin back. Tyron Smith obviously still didn't play, but Tyler Smith, you know, has been back for the past 2 weeks and has been incredible back at left guard. And yeah, Micah Parsons, despite not putting up any real numbers, made such a big impact in this game like he always does. And yeah, man. Oh, and Leighton Vander Esch completely shutting down that Patriots run game and not letting Zeke have a big comeback game, you know, to Dallas was a great time. And I'm pretty pleased with what I saw, and it makes me excited to see how we go against the 49ers here on Sunday night.
That's going to be a big one.
It's
a really big
biggest
one.
I mean, it's our marquee game.
Biggest ones. Yep, for sure.
This is the game that's been circled since the schedule came out. Dallas knew, San Francisco knew, hey, like this is our first real big test. Like the teams that we played before this don't really matter.
Yeah, totally agree. And perfect analysis, Carlos. Great job.
All right, let's move on. A couple more 1 o'clock games. The Vikings over the Panthers, 21-13.
No notes.
Yeah, nothing.
The Broncos get their first win of the season over the Chicago Bears.
Full notes.
Thankful.
Full notes here. That coaching staff is the most incompetent coaching staff I have ever seen. How do you drop? How do you mess this? How do you mess that up? Like truly, how do you mess that up?
It's amazing.
I have no words for how
Justin Fields needs out of that, because again, we have seen his potential. We have seen how good this kid can be in college. We saw how good he can be here in this game. But they keep squandering it by making these dumb decisions. That defense is horrible. And then there's this whole Chase Claypool situation that's going on. Who knows where he's going to end up?
Nice.
They trade a first rounder for him.
They trade the house
at
for
the
him.
deadline.
Yep.
And guess what? Now they're only going to get like a 5th or 6th round pick is what they're asking for to get him out of there. What an absolute failure. You trade for DJ Moore and you still can't do anything. They have the first 2 picks in the draft somehow because they're so bad. They're literally at 1 and 2 right now.
Well, they got Carolina's pick. I think Carolina was 2.
Yeah. Because Carolina traded up.
Yeah.
So at this point, it looks like you can get a new quarterback. They'll probably try to get Caleb Williams, but that's if Caleb Williams even wants to go there and maybe decides to go back to USC.
He's going to stay at USC for 8 years. Yeah.
Yeah, Caleb Williams can make more money going back to USC.
He said that. He can make more money going back to USC.
Which is insane in this day and age.
Well, it's because rookies are capped now. I mean, back then, the last big rookie contract was Cam Newton. Cam Newton made something like $60 million on his first contract.
He was making a lot of money.
But then they decided, hey, we have to cap the rookies because there was too much pre-negotiation.
Yeah, without ever taking a field, which I get. I get that.
So they were like, look, for first overall picks, the first 5 picks make this much, and obviously it goes down.
I think it's a good system, but yeah, that's just
I like it too. I mean
especially because most of those guys don't pan out anyway.
And again, it helps build a team around somebody when you don't have to spend so much of your cap on a rookie quarterback off the bat.
Exactly.
Besides the point. Yeah, so they could easily get Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. And with the first 2 picks. But again, that's only if they want to go to Chicago. And if I'm a college player right now, that's the last place I want to go. Because they have such an incompetent coaching staff, such an incompetent franchise. They are the new Commanders. They are. Now that the Commanders finally got a competent owner and are, got some competent coaching and stuff like that.
Minus the lawsuits, yes.
Fair.
Very fair.
Fair. But
Fair and
they
fair
are
play.
they are now the new like bottom of the barrel franchise right now.
Yeah, they need to totally clean house and start over. Justin Fields was great in this game though. I still don't think he's a starting quarterback in the National Football League. That's just my opinion. I know the Bears certainly haven't given him a chance to flourish. I'm not going to disagree with that. But he did everything in this game he possibly could to get them to the finish line. So you can't blame him because I have certainly been critical of him in the past. But yeah, Carlos hit the nail on the head. It's just an incompetent coaching staff, an incompetent organization, a terrible GM, a GM who...
Kirby, how does it feel listening to us talk about another franchise like that and it not be your team?
It's great, right? It's great.
It's very for once you're only ragging on the Commanders because you think because of a quote unquote maybe moral victory there, but it's just comical to hear dysfunctional organization it's not attached.
It's bad, and they I don't know how many games realistically they're going to win. I really don't. Just looking at their schedule, but Carlos hit the nail on the head.
This was their best shot.
Yep, it's just utter incompetence, and yeah, they need to clean house, and they need to change a lot of things if they're going to get better at all. But they should have never fired Lovie Smith after you went 10-6. You deserve everything that happened to you after that as an organization.
Speak on it. Speak
Matt,
on it, Dan.
Amen.
And Matt Nagy, like, oh, that's some. Well, you were in the playoffs with him, so I guess
he did go to the playoffs back years. He did, but the ending was bad. The ending was another case of the franchise was incompetent and didn't really give him much to work with.
Didn't give him much.
Also did not do well with Trubisky at all. So
no. Well, who could in that situation? But that's beside the point too.
That is also fair.
But yeah, that's it. I think we've talked about the Bears issues enough.
Yeah.
I got nothing to say about the Broncos.
No,
they're terrible. Also,
nothing positive. I got nothing either.
So I'm looking at the rest of these games, and they're just
skipperoos.
I think we're good. I think we're good.
I mean, the Rams Colts, they went into overtime, but
it was a good game.
That was a good game.
Anthony Richardson looked pretty solid. He looked pretty good.
Cooper Kupp's coming back next week, so we'll see how good the Rams look.
Thank God. I need him on my fantasy team, man.
The rest of these, it's just nothing exciting, all lopsided.
Well, I told you guys when we made our pick'ems for last week, I was like, there's not really much good games. Like this week kind of stunk.
Yeah.
So, and this next week also kind of stinks. There's only like really one good big game, which is obviously the Sunday Night Football game. But aside from that, nothing's really happening.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially that Monday night game. That was just atrocious.
Oof. What a waste of space.
Just don't put the Giants on primetime anymore. Like they just don't have it this year.
Yeah.
They just really don't have it this year.
All right, so that was the breeze through the NFL right here on the Kirby on Sports podcast. Before we move forward, though,
did you time that?
What?
No, because you said at the start you said you were going to time the breeze to see how breezy it was.
Oh,
but
I don't remember saying that. Did I say that?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't remember saying that.
Hey, but listen up. I got to shout out my friends over at Shenandoah Music. They're here to help you and your beginning band student. The school year is kicked off, well underway, and band classes all around. Shenandoah Music works with all the local band directors to make sure you and your student have what they need. You've got to be kidding me.
Does this just happen to be next to me?
You've got to be kidding
That's crazy.
me.
That you had that ready to go.
Happened to be next.
You've got to be kidding.
I support high school band. Let's go.
No, not that. If you're listening to us on video, Carlos just
no. Do not say what it was. Do not say what it was. I have a reputation to upkeep.
Oh yeah.
That's fair.
It's about to get blown since we post this on video too.
That's fine. But
anyway,
I have a reputation to upkeep.
Shenandoah Music, they have all the best equipment your band student needs. They have instruments from Yamaha, Ludwig, Schmeller, so much more. They're all band director approved. and they partner with local directors to make sure your student is getting the equipment and accessories he or she needs. You can rent online today at www.shenmusicstore.com. Thanks, Carlos, for interrupting that read. We'll be back with the
read
Kirby.
better because of that.
Visuals are always good.
We'll be back with our pick'ems right after this.
Bedbugs. The only thing creepier than thinking about them is actually having them. Trust me, you don't want to have them. Locally owned and operated Barrett Pest and Termite Services can keep you from having bedbug nightmares and infestations. Call 540-340-3922 to schedule your free inspection and consultation. If bedbugs are already in your home, we'll get rid of them so you can rest easy. We also specialize in keeping homes and businesses free of other pests, including rodents and termites. That's Barrett Pest and Termite Services, 540-340-3922.
Hi, this is Mark Peter Lynch with Guild Mortgage. One of the greatest joys in doing business over the last 30 years in the Shenandoah Valley is helping people buy their first home. Buying their first home and putting the keys in their hand at the closing table has brought me so much joy. If you want to buy your first home, a second home, or an investment property, or build wealth through investment in real estate, give me a call. My phone number is 540-664-4700, or you can find me on the World Wide Web at www.marksmortgage.com.
It is now time for the Kirby on Sports Pick'em for this week. Gentlemen, are we ready?
Yes.
Show those records.
Hold
Let's
up,
go.
Carlos.
Oh, I don't have it ready.
Boom.
Okay. So after 4 weeks of Pick'em's challenge, picking whatever you want to say, we have a stunning upset right now coming up right now. Right now the standings are Dan is in first place at a 15-9 record. He had himself a good week last week.
Yes, sir.
I think you went 5-1 if I recall correctly.
Yes.
Kirby is in second place at 14-10. I think you went 4-2. And I surprisingly am in last place at 13-11. But fear not, boys. That was just the first quarter. You had me in the first quarter.
I'm not going to lie.
But I ain't going to lie. You guys had me in the first quarter because I did a lot of dumb decisions because I was tired of us all having the same picks. So I was making some dumb picks. Okay. But I ain't going to do that anymore. It's time to get serious here because the rest of the season, I'm running away with this thing. Okay. And I will be the two-time Pick'em's champion, and I will get that beautiful belt that we will be ordering at some point. So with that being said, there's not a lot of discrepancy between our picks this week. So it's
Kirby and I have the exact same pick.
Literally pick for pick, and the only reason why my pick is different is because I'm contractually obligated to take that team.
That was a tough game to pick, though. Not gonna lie.
It is a tough game to pick, but I do not blame you guys for picking the 49ers. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. The games we will be picking this week are the Cowboys 49ers. That is our marquee game. We will be picking Chicago, Washington, because we will be at that game. Jaguars, Bills. No real reason. We just picked that game. Ravens, Steelers, just because it's a big rivalry game, and we like to give Dan some love. By the way, first time in our ever doing the pick'ems, the three main teams are on the board.
That's right.
We're doing Jets, Broncos. I don't know why we decided to do this game. I guess because there's all the
pad the stats. Yeah,
there's the trash talk, and I guess the pad the stats. Like, I guess we're pulling a Kirk Cousins here, and then we're doing Eagles, Rams. Since I'm the only one with a different pick, I guess I'll go first. My picks are I will be choosing the Cowboys over the 49ers. Obviously, I'm contractually obligated to take that pick, but also Dallas needs this. Like, Dallas needs it more than San Francisco does. San Francisco has ended our season the past 2 seasons And this isn't a team, you know, it's not like those games were blowouts. They were super close games. And it was just our offense didn't perform very well. So, like, it's a big game for Dak Prescott. And I don't know if you guys saw his press conference after the game, after the New England game. You know, he got asked a question, and he basically thanked the reporter for asking him how it felt after losing last year to the 49ers, how it felt leaving that locker room.
Yeah,
and he was like, and he basically thanked the reporter for pissing him back off and for basically giving him that, I guess, motivation. We'll see how that goes.
What kind of question is that?
I thought it was a fair question. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. And clearly, and I think Dak at first was kind of like, why? But then he was like, you know what? No, thanks for asking me that, because like it brought me back to how I felt there.
It's good motivation for sure.
I think, I don't know. I'm hoping Dallas wins, but this is so hard to pick. Like, it really is, because these teams are so equally matched. Obviously, I will put Dak over Purdy, but Purdy has been so good.
He's been nuts.
I mean, he hasn't been like lighting it up, but he's so good at not making the mistake.
Yep.
And that was the difference between last year's playoff game. Was Purdy was good at not making the mistake, and Dak was making the mistakes. So let's see how this goes this time around. It's going to be a big game. I'm going to go with the Commanders because the Bears suck. I'm going with the Bills because it's a smart pick. Even though the Jacksonville technically has the advantage because they're in London. They've been in London for the past week.
True.
They're going to be more adjusted. I just think the Bills are just much better.
Better team.
Ravens, because the Steelers are just terrible. Matt Canada doesn't know what he's doing. And the Ravens are starting to figure it out. I'm interested to see if any of the receivers come back, if Bateman or OBJ is going to play in this game. I'm interested to see that.
Now. Yep, still questionable today.
I'm going to go with the Jets because I think that they found something. I think they really did. I think Zach Wilson is going to build, and what better team for him to kind of build off of that great performance against the Chiefs than a team who everybody is able to throw on in the Denver Broncos. So I'm going with the Jets for that, and the Eagles over the Rams because it's just the Eagles. So you got to pick the Eagles. So Dan.
Yeah, so thank you, Carlos. Yeah, the only
Dan is speaking for me as well because we have the same picks.
Incorrect, because you guys might have different reasonings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
that's a good point. I apologize, Dan.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I only have one different pick from Carlos, so I'll go ahead and get to that one since it's the top game anyway. I'm going to take the 49ers over the Dallas Cowboys. This is a very tough game to pick.
So hard to pick.
Yes, it is. Very hard. It's incredibly hard.
I mean, right now, in my opinion, the 49ers are the hottest team in the NFL.
You have to take the 49ers because they're hot. They're hot.
They've been there and done that.
And they've beaten Dallas before. So, like, I don't blame you guys for taking this. Like, I really don't.
Yeah, that's my reasoning behind it. It's, again, I could see this game going either way. I really could. I think it's going to be a great matchup. At least I hope it is. I hope it's not
Me too.
I hope it's not like we thought what last week's game of the week was supposed to be, and it turned out to be not so much. But, yeah, that's going to be a really fun game. Really interested to see how the 49ers offense matches up against that really, really, really talented Dallas defense. Going to be a great cat and
how the
mouse game.
Dallas offense matches up with that 49ers.
They've also got a
great defense, also
star-studded defense as well. Yep,
these
two great defenses,
man.
Two great defenses. Yep, absolutely. So, going to be exciting to see that one. And on Thursday night, the game we will be at. Yeah, I got the same reason as Carlos for picking the Commanders. The Bears are a mess. They're a complete mess. This is a game Washington has to win. It's also a primetime game, which, let's be honest, they haven't been good in primetime games
sold out
in a long time. But this is their chance to get that right. I think the Commanders pull this one out. Obviously, same reason as Carlos for the Jags and Bills. Although I think the Jags might have a better start in this game because they're used to London being there and the time difference and all that stuff. I still think the Bills are clearly the better football team in this game, and they will win this game and pull away late. Have to pick my Ravens over the Steelers. I think they're kind of trending in different directions right now. And I think the Ravens are a better football team right now anyway. I hope we can get a little bit more healthy for this game and take down Kenny Pickett and this Steelers team. I'm going to pick the Jets over the Broncos. The Jets, I agree with Carlos that kind of feels like they're starting to get on the right foot here. And the Broncos are a mess. Broncos country, let's ride, but that ride is a plane that's crashing. So try to get off that if you can, and not doing high knees down the aisle of the plane while the plane's going down. Also, so just dunking on Russell Wilson a little bit there. And then finally, take the Eagles over the Rams. The Eagles are the better football team right now. Although I could see this as an upset pick this week. I could see the Rams pulling this one out possibly. So,
Me too.
Yep. Those are my picks. Over to Kirby.
And my picks, the exact same as Dan's. The 49ers, I have the slight edge over them. Against the Cowboys, I could see this going either way, but the Dallas red zone offense sort of troubles me a tad, but yet it could go either way. The Commanders, should be an easy game, an easy win for them. The Bills, because the Jaguars, they're up and down, but the Bills, I think they have an easy hand. The Steelers, what's going on with their offense? Matt Canada, I'm not sure. Kenny Pickett got injured last week. I think the Ravens have a solid performance in that matchup. The Jets, because what have the Broncos done? I don't know. The Eagles and the Rams, the Eagles, I think they have just a big explosive performance. I think they get back on the right track in terms of explosion and what they do best. So I have the Eagles over the Rams. But Dan, I just have one question for you.
Okay.
How does it feel? Carlos is in the basement this week.
It feels good right now, but he's only one game behind you and 2 games behind me. So
Hey, Kirby, all I need is a good week. See, the thing is I've been going 3-3 the past 3-4 weeks in a row.
It's been hard. These games have been hard, man. Been hard
but
to pick.
Again, also I explained some of my reasons because sometimes it's looked like this on the graphic, and I'm like, I can't have it look like this. So sometimes I'll go the opposite way. No more of that. I'll be making my sound, smart picks, and I will. We'll see who sits on top of the mountain. You
know what? If I end up in 3rd place, I'm gonna start doing that too. I'm gonna start making the sound smart picks.
You are making the sound smart picks.
I know. I'm kidding. But some of these games have been tough, man. Like last week we all picked the Dolphins and didn't give the Bills any respect. Yeah, we need to start respecting the Bills. That's why I think we've righted the ship this week.
And then watch them fail us here and the Jaguars.
I wouldn't doubt it.
There's not a lot of room for movement here. The only because again, the only pick we have different is Cowboys 49ers.
Yeah.
So realistically, I could fall 3 big games behind you, Dan, and 2 games behind Kirby. But again, like I said, all it takes is one good week, and I'm back in the race.
You're right back in there. That's right.
Don't count the champion out.
So, with that being said, the NFL PickEm, as always, brought to you by Anthony's Pizza, 161 Warrior Drive in Stevens City. Pick the games that we have listed out of 6. The person who comments will have this on our Facebook page. Whoever comments the most amount right, and we had 2 winners last week. Whoever comments the most amount right gets a free large cheese pizza from Anthony's Pizza. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks again to Anthony's Pizza.
And if you win 3 of them in a row, you get to take Josh Kirby on a date.
To IHOP.
Oh my God.
To eat his, what was it, 48 pancakes?
48
yeah,
pancakes.
Absolutely.
It'll
but
never happen.
That about wraps it up for another edition of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Always a lot of fun with you boys. Any last thoughts?
I'm ready for some football. Thursday night. Let's go, boys.
Dude, I'm so hyped for Thursday.
It's going to be fun.
Absolutely, for sure. For the weapon, Dan Dembski, the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez. I am your gracious host, Josh Kirby. Check us on all streaming platforms, all social media platforms, www.kirbyonsports.com. Big thanks to all of our sponsors, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, Mark Francis, with Icon Real Estate, Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services, Mark Lynch with Guild Mortgage, Shenandoah Music, and the official energy drink of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Don't sleep energy. Use our promo code KOS podcast on either their website or Amazon. Get 12% off. It's been a fun episode. We appreciate you tuning in.
I don't get a closing this time.
Huh?
I don't get the closing thing this time.
Carlos, take it away.
All right. The boys will be in Maryland on Thursday, and we're going to have a blast. But always remember, there are no moral victories when you're ass.
Okay. Well, I can't even respond.
End it.
I can't respond to that. Have a good night. Thanks for tuning in.